ESPN fired me today, I wouldn't lose no sleep. You know why? Because somebody in Boston would hire me.
Add this to the list of famous last words, because not long after Kendrick Perkins said what he said, ESPN quietly pulled the plug on that segment, and Stephen A. Smith wasted absolutely no time turning the whole thing into straight comedy on air. What followed was loud, messy, and impossible to ignore. Let's break this down. Right now, a huge part of the internet wants Kendrick Perkins off their screens. If you've been online at all these past few weeks, then you already know his name has been trending for all the wrong reasons. And when we say wrong reasons, we are not talking about praise, awards, or applause. We are talking about backlash. We are talking about frustration. We are talking about fans typing in all caps, tagging ESPN, and asking one question over and over again: why is this man still on television? It got so heated that people were not just complaining in comment sections. They were posting threads. They were clipping segments. Some were even talking about petitions. That's the level this reached. Now let's be fair for a second. Kendrick Perkins is not some random personality who showed up out of nowhere. This is an NBA champion. He won a title with the Boston Celtics in 2008. He battled in the league for years, did the dirty work, protected the paint, and played his role on big stages. After retiring in 2018, he transitioned to ESPN, where he quickly became one of the loudest and most visible analysts in sports media. But here's the issue, and it's a serious one. Being loud and being respected are not the same thing. Being viral and being credible are not the same thing. And lately, the criticism is not about his resume as a player, it's about what he says on television.
I still believe he's the white version of LeBron James. Steve Kerr is the problem. Period. Steve Kerr, no, seriously. Steve Kerr is the problem. He has one foot on the grave, the other on the banana peel when it comes down to his career.
Instead of breaking down pick-and-roll coverage or defensive schemes, critics say Perkins leans into explosive takes that leave people confused. Fans accuse him of chasing reactions instead of delivering insight. And in early 2026, that frustration reached a boiling point. Let's go to January 14th, 2026. Perkins appeared on the Road Trippin' podcast and decided to share his thoughts on Cooper Flagg, the young star out of Duke. Now, Cooper Flagg is one of the most hyped freshmen in the country, putting up impressive numbers and drawing national attention. Most analysts would focus on his skill set, his footwork, his shot selection, his defensive instincts, basic basketball analysis, right? Not Perkins. Instead of keeping it strictly about the game, he steered the conversation into territory that instantly sparked outrage. Within minutes of that clip hitting social media, the reaction was explosive. One viral post with over 81,000 views labeled Perkins a racist and a clown. The replies were harsh. People called his comments ignorant. Others questioned why he even holds an MVP vote. Some fans went back and brought up his past commentary on Nikola Jokic, arguing that this wasn't an isolated moment but part of a pattern. According to critics, they believe he has a habit of placing ceilings on certain players for reasons that have nothing to do with pure basketball performance. And the thing is, the internet never forgets. Just when people thought it would cool down, 3 days later, on January 17th, Perkins was right back on Road Trippin'. This time, he shifted his focus to Steve Kerr and the situation involving Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors. Perkins did not sugarcoat anything. He questioned Kerr's approach. He suggested that no real basketball player can thrive if their coach doesn't believe in them. That's a strong statement, especially when you're talking about a championship coach with multiple rings. Warriors fans came out swinging. They called Perkins a hypocrite. They pointed out that during his own playing career, he was not exactly a primary scoring option. Some said he was constantly spreading negativity. Others said he was creating drama where none existed. The clip spread fast, and once again, Perkins was trending for controversy instead of analysis.
Well done.
You ready for this one?
Okay.
What you need ibuprofen for when you can have a perk?
If ESPN fired me today, I wouldn't lose no sleep. You know why? Because somebody in Boston would hire me.
And then you have the other Joe Mazzulla who just stands over there, and you wonder, like, if you take his brain out and you put it in the bird is going to start flying backwards. So,
and I love Perk to this day. He wasn't invited to our parade last year. That is true, because he'd been giving people a lot of, and so I had family members of players saying, if that guy's in the parade, we're not in the parade.
And then came February 5th. On First Take, Perkins made another bold claim, this time about Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. He suggested that Morant could be on his way out of the league because of off-court issues combined with declining performance. That statement hit like a thunderclap. We are talking about a former Rookie of the Year, an All-NBA talent, one of the most electric players in the league. To publicly question whether he could be out of the league is not a small take. It's not a mild critique, it's a headline-level statement. And once again, fans were furious. Some said Perkins was being reckless. Others said he was crossing lines just to get attention. A few defended him, arguing that analysts are supposed to speak honestly about trends and concerns. But the overwhelming tone online was clear. A lot of people feel like the hot takes have gone too far. Now, the bigger question hanging in the air is this. Is Kendrick Perkins simply doing what modern sports media rewards, which is bold, loud opinions? Or has he pushed things to a point where credibility is slipping? Because right now, the noise is louder than ever, and ESPN is watching all of it very closely. People were furious. One user flat out wrote that Perk needs to be on his way out of ESPN for the things he says. Others claimed that literally anyone on social media could do his job better. That's not just criticism, that's open rebellion from the audience. And then just 2 days later, on February 7th, Perkins somehow turned the volume up even more. After the San Antonio Spurs beat the Dallas Mavericks, Perkins was praising Victor Wembanyama for a strong 29-point performance. So far, so good. Normal basketball talk, right? Then he said the quiet part out loud. Perkins compared himself to Wembanyama. Yes, really. He told the audience that Webby is a prime example of me while everybody else is going right. I typically go left, and that's what he does. The panel laughed. The studio chuckled. But fans at home? They were not laughing at all. Online reactions were ruthless. People posted things like, "Get him off the air," and said the show was turning into stand-up comedy instead of sports analysis. Some said it felt like parody. Others said it was proof that serious basketball breakdowns were becoming a rare sight. And all of this was still happening under the shadow of what fans now call the ibuprofen incident from October 2025, which people have not forgotten. During a SportsCenter segment, host Elle Duncan made an innocent pun, calling him one of the perks of working at ESPN. It was harmless, it was light, it was a simple joke. Perkins responded in a way that instantly made the room tense. The look on Elle Duncan's face said everything. She looked stunned. She looked uncomfortable. The whole moment felt awkward. Social media lit up immediately. Fans called it weird, cringe, and hard to watch. Some even speculated that it could cost him his job. At that point, people were already drafting imaginary termination announcements for him online. So with all these moments stacking up, controversy after controversy, like blocks in a tower that looked ready to collapse, what did Kendrick Perkins do? Did he pause? Did he step back? Did he apologize? No. On February 8th, 2026, during NBA Countdown before a Boston Celtics versus New York Knicks matchup, Perkins stared straight into the camera and said that if ESPN fired him today, Boston would hire him tomorrow. And that's where things got very interesting. Because the idea that Boston would hire Kendrick Perkins is something a lot of people in Boston would strongly disagree with. To understand why fans burst out laughing at that claim, you have to go back years. Perkins played for the Boston Celtics from 2003 to 2011, 8 full seasons. He was part of the 2008 championship squad alongside Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. He was a defensive anchor, a physical presence, a key piece of Banner 17. That ring is forever. No debate about that. But once Perkins became a media personality, he did not treat his former team gently. He criticized the current Celtics heavily. He questioned stars like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. He called out coaching decisions. He challenged leadership.
Win the championship, and Brian Scalabrine, is like, well, doors not just open for him to come back to the city. There's two things I took from this. One, who the f*** are you? Out of this season, I actually get an email from Joe Mazzulla saying, whenever you're free, if you're in Boston or we play the Rockets, I want to go to dinner and break bread.
And then came the comment that really blew everything up. In January 2024, after the Celtics lost to the Denver Nuggets, Perkins went on air and made remarks about head coach Joe Mazzulla that many felt crossed the line. It was not framed as a tactical critique. It felt personal. It felt like questioning intelligence rather than strategy. That is not something a fan base forgets easily. Fast forward to June 21st, 2024. The Celtics win the NBA championship again, beating the Dallas Mavericks and claiming banner 18. The city erupts. There's a massive duck boat parade through Boston. Legends are everywhere. Paul Pierce? There. Kevin Garnett? There. Ray Allen? There. Even Brian Scalabrine was riding a float. But Kendrick Perkins? Nowhere to be seen. For a man who fought in the trenches during the 2008 title run, his absence was glaring. Fans noticed, media noticed, and eventually, the reason came out. Outgoing Celtics owner White Grousbeck went on the Club 520 podcast and addressed it directly. He did not dodge the topic. He did not soften it. He explained that the relationship between Perkins and the franchise had been strained, and it was not just front office tension. According to reports discussed publicly, people close to current Celtics players were deeply upset about the way Perkins had talked about the team on television. The frustration was strong enough that ownership had to make a decision about who would be part of the celebration. The choice was clear. Perkins was not included. He was also absent from the Banner 18 raising ceremony at TD Garden in October 2024. Reports suggested he was not invited to that event either. That sends a message. And while all this was unfolding, a separate tension brewed between Perkins and his former teammate Brian Scalabrine. When the parade snub became public, Scalabrine went on his SiriusXM show and said that Perkins' relationship with the franchise was not exactly open arms. That comment lit a fuse. Now you have former teammates publicly discussing distance. You have fans online replaying old clips. You have critics questioning credibility. And in the middle of all that, Perkins is confidently saying Boston would hire him tomorrow if ESPN let him go. That's bold. The bigger issue here is not just one comment or one viral moment. It's the accumulation. It's the pattern. It's the perception that bridges were burned. And yet he's acting like nothing ever happened. Some people call it confidence. Others call it delusion. But one thing is certain. The tension between Kendrick Perkins and Boston is not internet rumor. It's documented. It's public. And it's layered with history, pride, and loyalty. So when he says Boston would open the doors for him tomorrow, fans are not just disagreeing. They are laughing out loud. Kendrick Perkins did not stay quiet. He went on the All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, and he came out swinging at his former teammate Brian Scalabrine, and he did not keep it light. Perkins called Scalabrine a coward for bringing the parade situation up publicly instead of picking up the phone and handling it in private. He accused him of acting like a gatekeeper. He suggested Scalabrine had influence over who was allowed at Celtics events and who was not. That is not small talk, that is personal. But here's the part many people missed. During that same interview, Perkins revealed that Joe Mazzulla had actually reached out to him personally. Yes, the same coach Perkins once criticized heavily on national television had extended an olive branch behind the scenes. So while the public narrative was chaos, there was at least some private attempt at reconciliation. But even if there was communication between Perkins and Mazzulla, the damage across the rest of the organization was already done, because Scalabrine had his own version of events. In November 2024, Scalabrine went on his afternoon radio show and flat out denied having any power over parade invitations. He said the idea that he sat down with Celtics management to decide who rides on a championship float was ridiculous. According to him, that was not how it worked. Then Scalabrine dropped something that shifted the entire tone. He revealed that he had actually reached out to Perkins before the parade. He tried to help him. He told Perkins that if he wanted to smooth things over, he should call Mazzulla and apologize. Simple advice. Direct advice. And this is where many fans believe Perkins crossed the line. Criticizing strategy is one thing. Questioning rotations is fair game. Breaking down play calls is normal sports talk. But when you question someone's intelligence on national television, that hits differently. That is no longer about basketball. That is about respect. And in Boston, respect matters. Scalabrine made it clear he does not hold a personal grudge, but he also admitted their relationship changed. He said if he ran into Perkins, they would speak, but he would not go out of his way to help him the way he once did. And that part is huge, because Scalabrine had previously helped Perkins in his broadcasting career. He recommended him for opportunities at NBC Sports Boston. He opened doors. So when Perkins went on ESPN on February 8th, 2026, and confidently said that if ESPN fired him, somebody in Boston would hire him, the internet did not let that slide. A Reddit thread exploded with hundreds of comments mocking the claim. People called it delusional. They brought receipts. They pointed out the parade absence. The banner-raising absence at TD Garden, the strained relationships, the public feuds. The irony was heavy. The same city that did not include him in Banner 18 celebrations was now supposedly waiting to welcome him back with open arms.
Well, first of all, if anybody, and I really do feel sorry for anybody that actually believes, I have the text message screenshots of me and Perk, me saying, hey, Perk, I really would love for you to be there, man. You can criticize what a coach does. You can criticize what a player does. Like, the general rule is, don't call people stupid, and then don't go down that road.
Fans were not buying it. And while all of this drama unfolded, there was one person sitting right across from Perkins on television who had been dealing with his takes for years. That person is Stephen A. Smith. Now, let's be real. Stephen A. Smith is not shy. He is not subtle. If he disagrees with you, he will say it. Loudly, clearly, directly. Whether you are a superstar player, a Hall of Fame coach, or a fellow analyst sitting 3 feet away from him on live television, he will tell you exactly what he thinks. He leans forward, he raises his voice, he locks in, and he dissects arguments piece by piece. And over the years, nobody has been on the receiving end of that more consistently than Kendrick Perkins. Their debates have almost become a subgenre of entertainment. Some viewers tune in just to watch them clash. The tension is real, the frustration is real, and the viral clips speak for themselves. Let's rewind to one of their most talked about moments. During an NBA countdown broadcast before a crucial Game 7, Perkins was making predictions and speaking about the matchup like it was just another regular season night. Calm, casual, no sense of urgency. Stephen A. could not hold it in anymore. He turned toward Perkins and voiced what many viewers were already thinking. He made it clear that even if there was a valid basketball point buried somewhere in Perkins' argument, the way it was being delivered felt disconnected from reality. Game 7 is different. The pressure is different. The arena feels different. Careers shift in Game 7. Legacies change in Game 7. And Stephen A. went on a full rant explaining exactly that. He reminded everyone that Perkins, as a former champion with the Boston Celtics, should understand that better than anyone. You do not treat a winner-take-all moment like it is business as usual. And honestly, if someone wanted to summarize the criticism Perkins receives in one sentence, it might be this: just because you say something loudly does not automatically make it right. That is the core complaint. But the clashes between Stephen A. and Perkins go far beyond one pregame debate. Take the MVP race conversation from the 2019 to 2020 season. On Get Up, Perkins argued that LeBron James was being disrespected in the MVP discussion against Giannis Antetokounmpo. Perkins said LeBron deserved more appreciation. He talked about narrative. He talked about legacy. He talked about giving him his flowers. Stephen A. listened, his expression tightened. You could see it building. And then he erupted. Stephen A. broke the argument down piece by piece. He reminded viewers that LeBron was already universally recognized as one of the greatest players in basketball history. A 4-time MVP, a multi-time champion, considered by many the best player alive at that time. So where exactly was the disrespect? What more did people want the media to say? By the end of that segment, Stephen A. was not just pushing back on Perkins, he was pushing back on the entire panel. And here is the irony. Stephen A. Smith, the king of passionate sports debate, the loudest voice in the room for years, was the one telling everyone else to calm down. Let that sink in. When the most animated personality in sports media is the one urging restraint, you know the debate has gone somewhere wild. And through every heated exchange, every viral moment, every clip replayed 1,000 times online, one pattern keeps surfacing. Perkins speaks boldly. Stephen A. challenges him just as boldly. And the audience? They are watching every second of it. You know things have gone off the rails when Stephen A. Smith is the one asking for less emotion in the room. That alone tells you everything. And this was not a one-time thing. It kept happening again and again and again. Take the situation with D'Angelo Russell during the Los Angeles Lakers' playoff struggles against the Denver Nuggets. Russell had a playoff game where he went scoreless. 0 points, 2 assists, that's it. And somehow Kendrick Perkins was defending him on air. Stephen A. looked stunned, completely stunned. He could not believe Perkins was going to bat for a player who had produced absolutely nothing in a high-stakes moment. And Stephen A. did what he does best. He broke it down piece by piece. He reminded everyone that Russell had been inconsistent all season, struggled early, improved late, then vanished again in the playoffs. He pointed out that Russell was averaging around 6 points on brutal shooting percentages. This was not a small slump. This was a collapse when it mattered most.
From a basketball standpoint, I'm not disagreeing with Perk per se, but he's really annoying me today. And I'm going to tell you why Perkins is annoying me. Okay. Because this is a man that is a champion. You're talking about a game set.
Bro, let me stop right there. What you're saying is so blasphemous, so asinine. I'm appalled. I feel like KP and Jay Williams need to calm down and not be a...
You are not doing that today, Big Perk. We're not going to do this today.
Stephen A. even invoked former coach Jimmy Johnson and his philosophy. Players who produce get great. Players who do not produce get criticism. That's how it works. And Stephen A. demanded to know why Perkins was pushing so hard for a player who, in that moment, had given the team nothing. But that was just one chapter. Let's go back to 2023. Perkins sparked one of the biggest controversies in the history of First Take when he claimed that 80% of MVP voters were white and implied racial bias in the voting process. That comment shook the show. JJ Redick dismantled the argument live on air. The exchange was tense. The energy shifted. And the next day, the show issued a correction. That had never happened before on a debate show built on opinion. Let that sink in, a correction. On a debate show. Later, Stephen A. admitted on the Bill Simmons podcast that the discussion went too far and became uncomfortable. He essentially criticized Perkins for escalating the conversation beyond productive debate into territory that was genuinely damaging. That is not normal sports talk anymore. That is something different. Then came the MVP debates involving Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. When Perkins began hyping Jokic while appearing to downplay Shai's case, Stephen A. shut it down immediately. You are not doing that today, Big Perk. We're not going to do this today. That was the tone. Stephen A. was not letting inconsistency slide, not when it meant undermining a player who had earned his place in the conversation through performance, not when it felt like the narrative was drifting away from actual basketball. And here's the pattern. Over and over again, Stephen A. has been the one checking Perkins on live television, questioning his logic, challenging his consistency, calling out flip-flops. There were even moments where Perkins referred to the Boston Celtics as my Celtics after a win, despite previously picking against them. Stephen A. pointed that out too. He has openly used Perkins as an example of what he believes is wrong with modern sports media, when analysis takes a backseat to provocation, when volume replaces substance, when headlines matter more than breakdowns. And yet Stephen A. has also been clear about one thing. He respects Perkins as a former player. He respects him as a man, but he does not always respect what he hears from him on television. And Stephen A. is not the only one who has publicly challenged Perkins. Not even close. The list of critics reads like basketball royalty. At the top of that list, Charles Barkley. In March 2025, on Inside the NBA, Barkley delivered one of the most viral rants of the year. It all started when Perkins said on First Take that the Lakers had saved the NBA season because of their star power and national appeal. Barkley was not having it. Sitting next to Shaquille O'Neal, Ernie Johnson, and Kenny Smith, Barkley went off. He called Perkins an idiot, a fool. He blamed ESPN's coverage for being overly focused on the Lakers and LeBron James. He said the Lakers were barely hanging on in the playoff picture and were not saving anything. And while Barkley was unloading, Shaq completely lost it. He doubled over laughing, slapped the desk, could barely breathe. The studio turned into chaos. The clip exploded online. Millions of views in days. It became instant meme material. Perkins responded the next day on First Take. He leaned into it, called himself the Smoke, told Barkley to get used to it. But by then, the internet had already chosen a winner. And it wasn't Perkins. Then there is Draymond Green. Their tension runs deeper, more personal. It dates back to at least the 2022 NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics. After Perkins criticized Green's performance, Green responded on his podcast and went straight at him. He mocked Perkins' playing career, said he sat on the bench, said he was not that impactful as a player. That was not subtle. This was not just debate, this was personal back and forth between former players with pride on the line. And when you zoom out and look at the whole picture, the pattern is clear. Stephen A. challenging him, JJ Redick dismantling him, Barkley roasting him, Draymond firing at him. Perkins is constantly in the center of the storm. Some say that is the cost of being outspoken.
And saying he sat on the bench and wasn't really that good of a player.
Problem is, all of these people talking about basketball that don't know basketball. And so what do? You got fools like Kendrick Perkins come dressing like a clown.
Others say it is the result of pushing too far. But one thing is undeniable. When this many respected voices keep calling you out publicly, the spotlight gets hotter every single time. That was ugly. It was personal. And it crossed a line that a lot of people felt should never have been crossed. Draymond Green later apologized for the language he used, but by that point, the damage had already been done. The feud did not cool off. It did not fade away. It kept simmering, with Green taking shots at Kendrick Perkins during press conferences, on podcast episodes, and across social media for years after that first explosion. And whether you agree with him or not, Draymond ended up voicing something that many people in the basketball world had been thinking quietly for a long time about Perkins and the way he approaches his role in the media. And Green did not stop there. He doubled down and made it crystal clear where he stands on Perkins as an analyst. In his view, media personalities who chase controversy instead of breaking down actual basketball are a major problem in the industry, and he placed Perkins right at the top of that list. No hesitation, no softening of the message, no apologies. Just straight to the point. So let's zoom out and look at the full picture. Charles Barkley called Perkins an idiot on national television, while Shaquille O'Neal laughed so hard he nearly slid out of his chair on Inside the NBA. Green labeled him a clown on a podcast heard by hundreds of thousands. JJ Redick publicly dismantled one of his biggest arguments on First Take in a moment so intense, the show issued a rare correction the next day. Stephen A. Smith has shut him down, challenged his logic, and corrected him live on air more times than most viewers can even remember. It goes beyond debate clips. Perkins was absent from the Boston Celtics championship parade after Banner 18. He was not present for the banner-raising ceremony at TD Garden. The team's owner, Wick Grousbeck, publicly acknowledged that there were tensions tied to how Perkins had spoken about the organization. His former teammate, Brian Scalabrine, who once helped him secure broadcasting opportunities, admitted their relationship had changed and that he would no longer go out of his way to support him the way he once did. On paper, that sounds like the resume of someone on the verge of being pushed out. Someone surrounded by critics, someone burning bridges in every direction. And yet, here is the twist. Through every controversy, every viral rant, every public clash, and every online petition calling for him to be removed, Kendrick Perkins is still standing. Not only did he survive ESPN layoffs, he reportedly received a contract extension and expanded his role across multiple programs at ESPN. That part cannot be ignored. You can question his basketball takes. You can disagree with his delivery. You can roll your eyes at the comparisons and the hot-button statements that seem designed to spark outrage. But one thing is undeniable. He understands how modern sports media works. He understands attention. He understands momentum. He understands that in today's world, being talked about often matters more than being universally praised. Perkins has made himself impossible to ignore. Every time his name trends, it fuels another debate segment. Every viral clip becomes another round of engagement. Every argument turns into another week of conversation. For better or worse, he stays in the spotlight. And that leads to the real question people keep circling back to. Is this sustainable? Can someone keep riding the line between analysis and provocation forever without it eventually snapping back? Or is this simply the new blueprint for surviving in sports television? Right now, fans across social media are still asking the same thing they have been asking for years. How long can this possibly last?